Well, Lewis Capaldi has been commended for powering through his Glastonbury set despite losing his voice due to his Tourette symptoms.
The Scottish singer had taken 3 weeks off to ensure he was fit to sing at the weekend, but then struggled with the lyrics and asked fans to sing along with him in what became actually truly emotional scenes.
Well, watching that emotional performance was 17-year-old Wilamena Dyer, a fellow musician who also lives with Tourette's and joins us now. Very good morning to you.
Good morning.
What impact did that have on you watching it? The fact that Lewis Capaldi couldn't continue, but the fact that the crowd then stepped in, sang it for him?
I think that obviously watching it was so emotional in so many ways. Obviously seeing him struggle, that's really hard and something that lots of people, including myself, can connect with having Tourette syndrome. But most importantly, I think the emotional part was how supportive the audience were and how you could see that they were just willing him to, you know, keep going and that they really wanted to support him.
And how do the tics affect you? What happens?
So I've had tics pretty much my whole life. The first time we sort of noticed them was when I was 4. But since then, I've had a full range of tics throughout the years. You know, it can affect my breathing, my walking. It can really vary.
That's interesting because I think the reason that it was really impacting Lewis Capaldi was because it was affecting his breathing.
Yeah, it can happen.
So how, just explain for those of us who don't know and need to understand, what happens?
So tics can be anything. In the same way that a sneeze or an itch, you get that feeling before, you know you're going to sneeze, you sneeze and then you feel better. It's the same with tics. So you get this feeling to start with, which people find it quite hard to describe. You do the tic and it goes away, but it's this circle that keeps repeating.
Is it completely random for you, or is it more likely to happen when you are feeling under pressure or when you are doing something public or when you are performing?
So sometimes it can be quite random. I have some random triggers, but most of the time it's if I'm particularly tired, if I'm nervous or worried, or even like excitement can sometimes bring on my tics further. So something like performing can bring all these heightened emotions, which is obviously amazing, but sometimes can be draining with the tics.
It's very important to say because, you know, there was some reporting saying the crowd did brilliantly while Lewis Capaldi struggled. But the truth was, it's just part of who he is, and he did it, and he came through it, and the crowd loved him for it. I know with the work I've done with children with stammering, the idea that it's something which you should sort of try and hide or conceal or worry about actually makes it worse. So you just have to kind of, you know, Lewis has this, and he deals with it, and so do you.
You have to own it, and I think for him, what's so inspiring is that this is a recent journey for him. You know, parts of this is very new, so for him to still be owning it, still be on stage doing his best is really incredible.
And it's part of who you are.
Yeah, 100% a part of who I am, and a part of so many people.
And how does it shape you? How are you made by it?
I think the most important thing for me is that it has shaped who I am, but it isn't who I am. But most importantly, I started doing music. I noticed that when I played, my tics go away, and I just threw myself into my music, and I did so much more. And I think that's partly why I'm a musician now.
He said, Glastonbury, I'm really sorry. I'm a bit annoyed with myself. I genuinely dreamt of doing this, and as he went off, if I never get to do it again, this has been enough. What would you say to Lewis Capaldi when he says, I'm annoyed with myself?
I think that it can be so easy to get frustrated at yourself. But, you know, you need to zoom out, see the bigger picture. He was on the stage of Glastonbury singing to hundreds of thousands of people. That is such an achievement. And I think that no matter what happened, he did it. He did incredibly well. The crowd loved him. So I think that that's the most important thing to take away.
And when people who are perhaps watching and seeing you, what would you say about the kind of control you have over tics? Do people say to you, well, how come you can't stop them?
Yeah, I think it's really important that it's on an individual basis. So some people can hold them in if they really try. Lots of the time it's very uncomfortable and the tics get worse later on.
Yes.
But it's very much down to the individual and can be really tiring. So it's so much easier to just own it and educate people so that people feel free to tic.
That's brilliant. Oh, there's such a powerful message, yeah.
It's so fascinating, though, that the way it affects you, because, you know, we know in stammering, Emily Blunt has a stammer, but not when she's acting. Ed Sheeran has a stammer, but not when he's singing.
Yes.
You have Tourette's, but not when you are performing. So you can go on to be, you know, a top-class, a world-class performer as somebody with Tourette's, like Lewis Capaldi, a top-class singer-songwriter. It doesn't have to stop you doing anything, does it?
Yes, it definitely doesn't hold me back. No.
That's brilliant.
Well, it's fantastic to meet you, to talk to you, to understand more about what Lewis Capaldi might have been experiencing last night.
Thank you for having me here.
No, thank you for being with us. Fantastic stuff.
And good luck with the performing.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Maybe we'll see you
at Glastonbury.
At Glastonbury one day. That would be brilliant.
It is just coming up to 20 minutes past 8. Competition time now. Here's Andy with the details.
So we were just talking about a wonderful Wilamena and her experience of tics and Tourette's. And you really relate to that, don't you, because of the stammering issue. And you said something really interesting just then while Andy was doing the competition.
Well, just that I think that the tough thing for Wilamena is that when she's with her family, her friends, performing, you know, after a while chatting with us, it's just who she is. But the challenge is every time she meets a new person, she has to explain it all over again, or she has to go through that first stage of them thinking, well, this is unusual, how do I deal with this? And, you know, that is a lot of pressure and stress to carry, and she did it with, you know, a smile and a buoyancy and a determination. Yeah. I thought she was really impressive.
So impressive and such an interesting insight.
Gosh.